Formed in 1944 under the Women's Army Corps, an extraordinary all-black, all-female unit was created during the height of World War II. Their mission was to address the massive backlog of undelivered mail for U.S. service members in Europe. Operating under the motto, "No mail, no morale," the unit underscored the importance of maintaining troop morale through correspondence with home. Join us today as we discuss the real history of the 6888th Postal Directory Battalion, and if you enjoy stories like this, visit WMIS.com for more. Let's dive in. When the United States entered World War II following the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, women were not yet allowed to join the military. That changed on May 14, 1942, when President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed a law establishing the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, which would later become the Women's Army Corps, WAC. In early 1945, a groundbreaking unit was formed in Birmingham, England, the 6888th Central Postal Directory Battalion. Comprising around 850 African American women, this unit made history as the only all-black, all-female unit to serve overseas during the war. The women, aged 17 to 52, were primarily African American, but also included women of Hispanic and Caribbean descent. They trained at Fort Oglethorpe in Georgia, where they faced racial discrimination, segregated facilities, and cruel treatment from male officers. Despite these challenges, they united under the leadership of Major Charity Adams, a trailblazer in her own right. Born on December 5, 1918, in Kittrell, North Carolina, Adams was one of the first African American women to be commissioned into the Women's Army Corps in 1942. Just 23 years old at the time, she had been teaching junior high school math and science in Columbia, South Carolina, before joining the military. She was recruited after receiving an invitation to apply, with the promise of career and leadership opportunities. Major Adams would become key to the success of the 6888th. She overcame both racial and gender barriers, and her leadership was instrumental in the unit's mission. When the women arrived in Europe in February 1945, they realized that racial segregation had followed them across the Atlantic. The American Red Cross had set up separate facilities for black members of the Auxiliary Corps in London, and Adams led a boycott, setting up her own services such as food halls, hair salons, and refreshment bars. Upon arriving in Birmingham, they faced an overwhelming task, sorting through 6 warehouses filled with undelivered letters and parcels that had been neglected for 2 to 3 years. These facilities were often cold, dimly lit, and overcrowded, with packages containing spoiled food that attracted rats. Working under blackout conditions, the team faced eye strain, while the cold winter conditions made it difficult to stay warm. Despite these hardships, they found ways to boost morale, including activities like bowling, dancing, and eating out. The locals also invited them to Sunday dinners, helping provide comfort and camaraderie. The 6888th Battalion also tackled their monumental workload with innovation. Many letters were addressed only with first names or nicknames, so they created a system using 7 million index cards to help match names and addresses. Working tirelessly in 3 8-hour shifts per day, they processed 65,000 pieces of mail per shift. Originally given 6 months to complete the job, the battalion cleared the backlog in just 3 months. After finishing in Birmingham, they moved to France in June 1945, where they faced another large backlog. Remarkably, they managed to clear it in 5 months. The battalion's impact extended beyond logistics. They broke through racial and gender discrimination both within the military and in broader society. Many white male soldiers dismissed their abilities and relegated them to stereotypical roles, while the unit itself faced segregation and prejudice. Despite these barriers, under Major Adams' leadership, the 6888th showed the strength and capability of black women in the military. Upon their return to the United States in 1946, the 6888th was not immediately recognized for their service. However, over time, their contributions began to be acknowledged. In 2009, they were honored at the Women in Military Service for America Memorial at Arlington Cemetery. In 2018, a monument was dedicated to them at Fort Leavenworth, and in 2019, the Army awarded them the Meritorious Unit Commendation. Their most significant recognition came in 2022, when Congress awarded the 6888th the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian honor in the United States. Only 6 members of the unit were alive to receive the medal, and by December 2024, only 2 remain. The legacy of the 6888th Battalion remains impactful. Their work ensured that military personnel received essential communications from their loved ones, which played a crucial role in maintaining morale. Beyond their logistical contributions, the 6888th challenged racial stereotypes and social norms, demonstrating that Black women were capable of serving in roles traditionally held by men. Their success helped pave the way for greater integration and acceptance in the military, influencing President Truman's 1948 executive order desegregating the armed forces. The story of the 6888th is one of perseverance, courage, and the breaking down of barriers. Their service laid the groundwork for the military's later efforts at diversity and inclusion, and today, their legacy continues to inspire service members and inform modern discussions on inclusivity in the armed forces. Their achievements remind us of the value of diverse perspectives and the importance of equal opportunities, regardless of race or gender.